Cabana and a Malata inlet, located in the northernmost area of the Ria de Ferrol, presents at present the following condition. It is the only area near the historic town center where citizens can still see, have access and enjoy the sea and the continuous practice and competition of water sports. As an important center of sport and nautical activities is located on its northern shore. An average of 300 associated sports people practice different sports in this center, which belongs to the town council. Besides, the community of fishermen and shellfish gatherers, of great importance for the economy of Ferrol, carries out its professional activities in this area, on which about 1,000 families depend. Culturally speaking, these town facilities also house a tidal dry dock, unique in Galicia and probably in all the Spanish state, dating back from the end of the 18th century to the beginning of the 19th century, in perfect state of conservation, included in the inventory of the candidacy of Ferrol to the World Heritage. Apart from being an area of great economic significance, the inlet of a Cabana and a Malata is nowadays still considered to be an area of scenic interest, despite the intentional and constant deterioration of its landscape, as for example the landfilling works that started in the 1940s with the aim of building a new rail link between the military facilities of Ferrol and Agraña. These landfilling works started at Punta Arnela, located between two Arnelas, that of Amalata and that of Oscorras, which were made up by the rivers A Sardiña and Carballo Mouro, respectively. An Arnela is the Galician name for a beach that is formed in the mouth of a river flowing into the sea, that is, a river beach. Due to these landfilling works, both river beaches became isolated from the rest of the inlet. Their waters could only communicate through a tunnel barely 2 meters wide, which obstructed the normal course of the river and caused a gradual deterioration, which eventually made them disappear already in the 1950s. Little by little, and under the pretext that the river beaches were deteriorating, small landfilling works were carried out in the river beaches in the name of the so-called progress until they eventually disappeared. The railway, which was also considered to be indispensable at the time, never started operating. As a result of these works, a small road which shortened the old distance in barely 400 meters still remains nowadays. All these building works made the Ria de Ferrol lose approximately 360,000 square meters of public property and use. After these landfilling works were carried out, the current municipal stadium of Malata, a sports center and several sport facilities were built on pieces of land acquired by the Port Authority for free, or reclaimed from the sea, as they like calling it. Surprisingly, Ferrol Council, that is, the citizens of Ferrol, currently pay the Port Authority 300,000 euros per month in fees for the occupation of the soil. The loss of rents and landscape of that time will never be recovered again, as well as the inlet area that had always belonged to us for shellfish gathering and public use. All these elements have passed into the hands of an entity that speculates and prevents citizens from entering maritime areas publicly owned, which have been turned into terrestrial and legally stolen to all citizens by using fences and no trespassing signs. At the same time, and with this same procedure, significant amounts of water surface were lost on the shores of Acabana. Landfilling works continued during these last years. Copacabana Beach, for example, was destroyed under the pretext of building the current promenade. Copacabana Beach was the closest beach to the urban area of Ferrol and the most frequently used by its citizens. At the end of the 60s, and due to the construction of the dock number 3 of Bazán shipyard, all the material from its digging works were deposited on the bottom of this inlet area. They were piles of rubble that can still be seen today at low tide. In the 80s, new landfilling works were done in order to build the current coal port, which was also considered to be indispensable at the time, despite not being used at present, but without any chance of bringing it back to its prior condition. The construction of this port facility obstructs even more the renewal of water of the Ría de Ferrol, as it blocks the draining of sludge from rivers and the tidal movement. What we thought would be the last landfilling work, the pumping station of the water treatment plant of Acabana, which had been considered to be extremely urgent, presents at present, and after 6 years of inactivity, this poor state of preservation. Could it perhaps be a gorse ecological reserve? Ferrol Council, in agreement with the feeling of the majority of citizens and with the support of all political forces, submitted their claims against the project, which at present are neither defended nor respected by the new ruling party, which has broken its electoral promises again. Also, the vast majority of the citizens' movement of Ferrol, such as neighborhood, cultural, sport and fishermen's associations, and the marine biology station of Agraña of the University of Santiago de Compostela, have submitted their claims against the project. It should also be underlined that the latter is located by the site where the building works of the railway viaduct would be carried out. This viaduct would have a serious environmental impact, as there is no chance of recovery, and would hinder the navigation of ships, sailing boats, fishing boats, and even small and medium-sized ships used for regeneration and dredging works done from the coal port, which, by the way, was built beyond understanding in the middle of the Ria. Thus, the viaduct would make the circulation of waters even more difficult due to the numerous building works that would have to be done. This citizens' movement submits claims and requests the cancelling of the project and the construction of a rail link in the northern area of the municipality of Ferrol. This alternative plan had also been included in the project, but rejected by the Ministry of Development just based on economic criteria and without taking into account the depth of 1,300,000 square meters of sea. After 3 years without replying to any of our claims, and despite receiving numerous written requests, the Ministry of Development announced a public tender for the public project without taking into account the environmental impact study and against the criteria and interests of the population. Once again, the ministry will destroy our Ria and will make it look like this due to the loss of 1,300,000 square meters of sea in total. There can be no doubt that the aim of this project is to speculate on the new soils or to dispose of a storage area of any kind of goods carried from the outer port to the inner port. However, at present there are already 2 industrial estates for this purpose, distant from town, that could be easily linked to the railway northern route. The results of these past and future actions could be summarized as follows. Sea Gate of Fontelonga, 18th century, the only gate still preserved from the old defensive wall of Ferrol, maritime but without sea. Ditch of the naval dockyard of the 18th century, defensive and channeling element of the sewage system thanks to the effect of tides, which is considered to be a great engineering work for its time, maritime but without sea. Civil dry dock of Acabana, also tidal operated, 18th and 19th century, maritime but without sea. Acabana and Malata promenades, maritime but without sea. Ferrol, town of the sea, according to its advertising slogan, may end up maritime but without sea. We can guarantee they are not going to stop. We must stop them as citizens with different ideologies. Let's demand, as voters, supporters, or activists, the parties that are or were responsible for this mess, the work stoppage in order to stop their current discredit. It is our duty not to leave this legacy to our children.